Toy Story 2 is a good movie with a lot of really interesting stuff and emotional depth. While the first Toy Story deals with the idea of getting replaced, the second is about getting put on the shelf for good. And since these movies are essentially toy metaphors for our own lives, I would say the central thematic question of Toy Story 2 is simply, how do we enjoy life when nothing lasts? Arguably, that's an even heavier theme than the one in the first movie. However, the problems don't lie in what the movie is trying to discuss, but in how it's doing it. It's in the execution. In spite of its interesting questions, the second movie is more about, hey, wouldn't it be funny if toys were alive? Instead of, hey, wouldn't it be philosophically fascinating or something if toys were alive? Just as in the first movie, it has two central characters, Woody and Buzz. The strongest parts of the movie are about Woody's character arc. That's where the movie really shines. We get to see Woody's past, and it's a whole new world which he, for some reason, doesn't remember. What makes the Prospector such an interesting antagonist is that it does have some good points about what meaning of life is for a toy.
Andy's growing up, and there's nothing you can do about it. It's your choice, Woody. You can go back, or you can stay with us and last forever. You'll be adored by children for generations.
Why stay with one kid and be admired for a few years only to eventually be thrown in the trash or put on the shelf? Why cling to one kid when you can be adored by children for generations on a museum? The Prospector's questions are elevated by the fact that Woody has recently been hurt. His arm was ripped open and he didn't get to follow Andy to summer camp. And worst of all, he got put on the shelf. To show how traumatizing this is to him, he has a nightmare about being thrown in the trash. And after that, he meets Squeaky, a broken toy who lives on the shelf all by himself, unable to contact the others. It's probably also his fear of being thrown away that is keeping him up there.
What's the point in prolonging the inevitable?
The best way of communicating important thematic ideas is through character. That way, internal theme is conveyed through external conflict instead of just info dumps. A good story question doesn't only have one answer, but several, and the truth is revealed through characters having different takes on the theme and getting in conflict with one another. Ultimately, the Prospector embodies the devil on Woody's shoulders. And the Prospector's ideas are actually derived from Woody's conclusions from the previous movie about the meaning of life for a toy. Woody's beliefs at the end of Toy Story 1 can be summarized like this. Life is only worth living if you're being loved by a child. This is even the idea that Buzz uses against Woody in an attempt to convince him to come back home to Andy.
Somewhere in that pat of stuffing is a toy who taught me that life's only worth living if you're being loved by a kid. And I traveled all this way to rescue that toy because I believed him.
But if you think about it, a logical conclusion from this axiom is that life is not worth living if you're not loved by a child. After getting his arm ripped open, Woody experiences a crisis a la Memento Mori. This whole movie is about the problem of finding meaning in a seemingly meaningless world where nothing lasts. According to Sartre, this is what makes life absurd, that we try and find meaning in something that is meaningless. And this existential angst is symbolized by the wound on Woody's shoulder, a wound which the Prospector exploits in order to persuade him, which I think is beautiful. However, a character shouldn't just be told why they're wrong, they should also be shown. In Toy Story 2, Woody is getting his ideas questioned by the Prospector, he's bonding with Bullseye, and is being shown all the merchandise and TV series and the entire world that was built around him. Here, the nostalgia and feeling of belongingness is communicated through the style of animation and the music. Music is one of the best ways to convey what a character is feeling. The song When She Loved Me shows how moved Woody is by Jesse's story. It works kind of as an argument, or rather as an anecdote in the movie's thematical discussion. It's the strongest part of the movie and one of the strongest scenes in the entire trilogy. This is all really good, he's slowly being converted, and it's not like he's being brainwashed. He always has the choice to leave them, but of course, It would feel incredibly selfish if it did so, since that would result in the Roundup gang getting put in a box in some storage facility, and he can see how traumatized Jesse is about being put in that box. Now, alongside all this good stuff, Buzz's story feels pretty weak. I understand why all these movies have rescue missions. It's exciting to watch, and it allows for action that is clever, where they play with scale, and it allows them to make a heavy movie that's also suitable for kids who will probably just turn off the television if there isn't enough colorful action going on. The rescue missions should be a combination of spectacle and finesse, which it definitely is in Toy Story 2, but it's not much more than that. Toy Story 2 is a type movie, they all are, but it spends much of its runtime not really saying anything, and the reason is because Buzz doesn't have a character arc. Wouldn't it be funny if Buzz met a new version of himself in the toy barn who still thinks he's a space ranger? Wouldn't it be funny if he accidentally got replaced by this new version of himself? Wouldn't it be cool if Zurg started chasing him and if it turned out that he was Buzz's father, just like in Star Wars? And wouldn't it be satisfying if Rex accidentally defeated him and finally got his revenge from not being able to beat him in the video game in the beginning? And this is all fun, but to me, drama isn't just entertainment. When I enjoy fictions, I want it to do 3 things. 1. Entertain me, make me have a good time. 2. Move me, make me feel things. And 3. Speak to me, make me think and reflect, and so on. In other words, it's about amusement, emotion, and message. Toy Story 2 seems to think that the Woody storyline is there to make me feel and think, while the Buzz storyline is there to make me have fun. And that's seemingly why the 2 stories are used to contrast one another. But there's no reason for this. The Woody storyline is already entertaining me. It's well written and well directed, operating on all 3 levels, and in comparison, the Buzz scenes feel pretty empty. As we have established, theme is rarely found within one single character arc, but in the common denominators of 2, which is the case in Toy Story 1. I'm not sure what arc Buzz should have had. Maybe he's still Andy's favorite toy, but is not feeling comfortable with it, and through the rescue mission he's forced to become a leader and thus starts to find purpose again. Maybe Buzz should have been tired of staying with Andy in the beginning of the movie, or feeling like he doesn't belong with the gang, but after going on the rescue mission and bonding with the other toys, he begins to realize that staying with Andy is right. That would have added layers to the thematic discussion, so that him confronting Woody at the end would have been more powerful, and using one character arc to force the other.
Woody, you're not a collector's item. You're a child's plaything. You are a toy!
But maybe there simply wasn't a good character arc for Buzz in this story. The main problem is that Toy Story 2 spends too much time on Buzz while spending too little time in Woody's newfound world. After everything Woody has been through with Andy, he's a little too quick to get excited about moving into a museum. But then he quickly wants to leave the Roundup gang again after just a few arguments from Buzz. What made the first movie so great is how carefully he constructed the psychological processes of these toys. But here it's going way too fast, even though the movie has a longer runtime than the first. But I have to admit that Woody hearing "You Got a Friend in Me" on the TV is a brilliant way to convince Woody to return to Andy. So, I still really like the movie though. In the end, the toys come to a mature conclusion.
You still worried?
About Andy? Nah, it'll be fun while it lasts.
I'm proud of you, cowboy.
Besides, when it all ends, I'll have old Buzz Lightyear to keep me company. For infinity and beyond.
You're gonna see it's our destiny. You got a friend in me. You got a friend in me. You got a friend.
Thank you all for watching this video. Don't forget to remember to subscribe to see more of these video essays and all of that. So I will see you in the next time. Maybe I will do Toy Story 3. But I'm more feeling like jumping directly to Toy Story 4 because I don't know if I have that much to say about Toy Story 3 comparison to Toy Story 4. Bye!
Use your head.
But I don't want to use my head.